There are things inside you that you've never told anyone, not because you don't want to, but because words can't quite hold the weight of what you feel. Freud once said that what we repress never disappears. It only hides, waiting for the right moment to speak through our actions, our dreams, or the quiet ache that follows us for years. This video isn't here to analyze you or to make you feel exposed. It's an invitation to listen, to turn inward for a few minutes and let what's been buried find a voice. Before we go deeper, I want to tell you something simple but important. You are not alone in what you feel. All of us carry hidden stories inside, wounds we learn to disguise behind smiles, strength, or silence. What Freud understood, long before it became common language, is that our unconscious is not a dark enemy, but a forgotten friend. It holds every piece of us we've had to push away just to survive. Today, we'll let that friend speak. If you're new here, I'd love for you to join this journey by subscribing. Not because of numbers or algorithms, but because this space is meant for people who feel deeply and want to understand themselves without judgment. Every week, we explore what the unconscious tries to tell us through love, loss, memory, and desire. You're welcome here, just as you are. There's a moment in every life when silence becomes heavier than pain, when what we've repressed begins to whisper through the cracks of our daily routine. Freud saw this in his patients, the tremor in their voice when speaking of nothing important, the sudden tears over a forgotten childhood toy, the laughter that hides grief. He understood that the unconscious speaks a strange language made of symbols, slips of the tongue, accidents and dreams, and through that language, it reveals what we're hiding deep inside. Maybe you've noticed it too. That familiar pattern that keeps repeating no matter how much you try to change. The same kind of relationship that always ends the same way. The same loneliness that returns after every success. It's as if something unseen is guiding us, pulling the strings quietly from beneath the surface. Freud called it the return of the repressed. What we don't confront, we recreate. What we refuse to feel, we end up living again and again until we finally listen. Imagine your mind as a house. The conscious self, the part you show to the world, lives in the front room, tidy and lit. But behind that, there are doors you rarely open. Some are locked, and you've forgotten what's inside. Yet, the sounds still echo. A voice from childhood calling your name. A memory of fear, of shame, of wanting something you were told was wrong. These rooms are not evil. They are simply waiting. They hold the truth of who you are before you learn to hide it. Freud's work wasn't about erasing the unconscious. It was about making peace with it. Understanding that our hidden desires and fears are part of the same whole that makes us human. So what are you hiding deep inside? Maybe it's the need to be loved without having to earn it. Maybe it's anger you were told wasn't acceptable, or grief you never gave yourself permission to feel. Perhaps it's the child inside you who still feels unseen. Freud believed that repression is not forgetting, it's a form of protection. The mind hides what it cannot yet handle, but as time passes, those buried emotions don't die. They turn into symptoms: anxiety, perfectionism, fear of failure, emotional numbness. All are messages from the unconscious saying, "Please remember me." At some point, life starts to echo those messages louder. You meet someone who awakens something familiar, something you can't quite explain. You succeed, but the emptiness remains. You run, but your shadow keeps pace. The truth is, we can't outrun the parts of ourselves we've silenced. The unconscious doesn't punish, it waits. It holds the keys to your authenticity, your creativity, your capacity for love. But to unlock it, you have to listen, not with your mind, but with your heart. I want to pause here and ask you something. What do you think your unconscious is trying to tell you right now? Take a moment and feel it. Maybe write it in the comments if you feel ready. You might be surprised how much clarity comes from giving a name to what's been silent. You can even copy and share this phrase if it helps you open that door. I think my unconscious is trying to tell me, and then finish it with whatever comes naturally. Don't overthink it, just let it flow. Your story might help someone else realize they're not alone in theirs. Now, let's go deeper. Freud discovered that behind every repression lies a conflict between what we desire and what we believe we should desire. The superego, the internalized voice of parents, culture, and morality, tells us what's acceptable. The id, the raw, instinctive part, wants what it wants, regardless of rules. Between them stands the ego, trying to mediate, to keep peace, to maintain an image that the world will accept. But the price of this balance is often self-denial. The ego learns to suppress the unacceptable feelings, lust, rage, envy, longing, and lock them in the basement of the unconscious. Yet, those forces don't vanish. They become the subtle drivers of our choices, the unspoken reasons we fall in love with the wrong person, chase impossible goals, or sabotage our own happiness. Freud once said that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. In our dreams, the truth speaks freely. The forbidden desire becomes a symbol, a stranger's face, a locked door, a flight through the sky. When you dream, your conscious guard is asleep, and the unconscious finally finds a way to tell its story. That's why dreams can feel so strange, and yet so emotionally real. They reveal not what you think, but what you feel beneath the surface. But even when we're awake, the unconscious finds ways to speak. In Freudian slips, in the jokes we make that cut too deep, in the sudden anger we can't explain. Freud's insight was not that these things are random, they are revelations. Each slip, each symptom, each emotional storm is the unconscious trying to restore wholeness, to bring what's been exiled back into awareness. There's a quiet tragedy in how most of us spend our lives running from ourselves. We keep busy, we distract, we scroll endlessly because silence might reveal too much. But the truth is, what you're avoiding isn't a monster, it's a memory, a feeling, a part of you that just wants to be acknowledged. Freud believed that healing begins not when we fix ourselves, but when we understand ourselves. When we bring light into the dark corners and say, "You can come out now, it's safe." Think back to your childhood, the moments that shaped your sense of worth, your understanding of love, your fear of rejection. Freud's greatest insight was that the child never disappears. It grows hidden inside the adult, influencing every decision, every relationship. When you crave validation, it's that child asking, "Do you see me now?" When you fear abandonment, it's that same voice whispering, "Please don't leave me again." We spend years trying to become who we think we should be, forgetting that the person we most need to accept is the one we used to be. The unconscious hides the child's tears behind adult smiles. It hides longing behind ambition, sadness behind anger, vulnerability behind control. Freud didn't see this as pathology. He saw it as the human condition. We are all divided beings, trying to reconcile the parts we've rejected. The goal of self-understanding is not to destroy the unconscious, but to integrate it, to become whole again. Love, Freud believed, is the most revealing stage where the unconscious shows its hand. When we fall in love, something ancient awakens, a longing not only for the person before us, but for something we lost long ago. We don't just love who they are, we love what they symbolize. The warmth we missed, the safety we craved, the mirror that once reflected us in childhood. That's why love can feel like recognition. It's not the first time we've felt it. It's the return of something forgotten. And that's also why it can hurt so deeply, because the same love that awakens our joy also touches the wounds we've been hiding. Freud called this repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate unresolved emotions from the past. We choose partners who echo our parents' affection or neglect, not out of logic, but out of emotional familiarity. The unconscious says, this time, maybe it will end differently, but it rarely does until we realize what's happening. It's not that you're doomed to repeat the same pain. It's that your mind is trying to heal through repetition. The cycle continues until understanding breaks it. Once you see the pattern, you gain a choice to love from awareness instead of absence. Desire, in Freud's view, is not just sexual. It's the movement of life itself, the pulse of everything we long for but can't fully have. Desire gives us purpose, but also keeps us restless. We chase it, we fear it, we repress it, and yet we cannot live without it. Freud saw repression as civilization's price. To coexist, we must hide parts of our nature, but he also knew that too much repression suffocates the soul. When you deny your desires for too long, they don't disappear. They transform into anxiety, irritability, or a quiet sense of deadness. That's the unconscious saying, "You've silenced me too much." Have you ever noticed how, sometimes, when life feels safe and quiet, something inside you stirs restlessly? That's the unconscious seeking expression. The parts of you that were told to stay small, to behave, to fit in. They start to push against the walls. It can feel like chaos, but it's actually the beginning of freedom, because what we repress doesn't want to destroy us. It wants to live. The sadness wants to cry. The anger wants to protect. The desire wants to create. Every emotion we repress loses its pure form and becomes a symptom. But when we allow it space, it transforms back into energy, into vitality. Freud once said that being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. But honesty, in this sense, isn't about confession, it's about compassion. Can you look at your shadow without judgment? Can you admit to the envy, the need, the fear, and still hold yourself with tenderness? The unconscious doesn't open to analysis alone, it opens to empathy. The more gently you turn toward your own darkness, the more it reveals its meaning. Because what you're hiding deep inside isn't evil, it's the part of you that wasn't allowed to be loved. Let's imagine something together. Picture yourself sitting with your younger self, the version of you who still believed in love before it hurt, who cried without shame, who didn't yet know what rejection felt like. What would you say to them? Would you tell them they were too sensitive, too dramatic, too needy? Or would you tell them that their feelings made sense, that their pain was valid? Freud's insight was that our neuroses often come from trying to silence that child instead of listening. Healing begins when you stop treating your inner world as a battlefield and start treating it as a home. When Freud spoke of the unconscious, he didn't mean a place of darkness alone. He meant the reservoir of everything that makes us human. Our creativity, our humor, our dreams. Repression hides not only pain, but potential. Every time you deny an emotion, you deny a piece of your vitality. That's why people often rediscover themselves after breakdowns or heartbreaks. When the old defenses crumble, the unconscious finally breathes again. It's as if life says, now you're ready to meet yourself. D. Think of the moments when you felt irrational, when your reaction seemed too strong for the situation. Maybe a small rejection triggered an avalanche of shame. Maybe a harmless comment made you feel unseen. Those moments are not failures. They're clues. The intensity of your reaction reveals the age of your wound. Your unconscious isn't trying to embarrass you. It's trying to remind you of something unfinished. Every tear, every fear, every overreaction is the psyche's way of saying, this still needs your attention. We live in a world that teaches us to move on quickly, to scroll past pain, to numb it with productivity or pleasure. But Freud knew that what's unprocessed doesn't vanish, it solidifies. The mind becomes cluttered with unspoken grief. And in that clutter, we lose connection to our authenticity. To be whole, we must turn inward, not with analysis alone, but with presence. When you feel sadness, don't rush to fix it. Ask it what it's trying to show you. When you feel anger, see what boundary it's defending. When you feel numb, ask what emotion has been buried too deep. There's an immense tenderness in self-awareness, the courage to see what's hidden without turning away. Freud's great gift was showing us that the unconscious isn't a curse, it's a conversation waiting to happen. And once you begin that conversation, everything starts to shift. You no longer react blindly, you respond consciously. You stop projecting your pain onto others and start owning your story. That's the beginning of freedom. Sometimes people fear introspection because they think it will uncover only darkness. But the truth is, beneath the pain lies light. The same unconscious that holds your fears also holds your intuition, your creativity, your capacity to love deeply. When you stop repressing one, you awaken the other. The goal isn't to control your unconscious, it's to befriend it, to trust that even your most irrational feelings have meaning, to realize that the voice you've been running from is the one that's been trying to guide you home. Let me ask you again, what do you think is hiding deep inside you? Maybe it's something small, a forgotten memory, a simple truth. Maybe it's something you've always known but were afraid to admit. Whatever it is, write it down, whisper it, or share it below. Say, today I choose to listen to what's hidden. It's not about solving it, it's about honoring it. Every time you bring something unconscious into awareness, you reclaim a piece of your power. Freud once said that where I'd was, ego shall be. In simple words, that means the unconscious wants to become conscious. The goal of life is integration, to let the light and the dark, the past and the present, the fear and the desire coexist in truth, to be at peace with your contradictions, to say, yes, this is all me, because only then can you live freely without the constant tug of what's repressed beneath. And maybe that's what you've been searching for, not perfection, but wholeness, not an escape from your shadow, but a way to dance with it, to finally look inward and see not a stranger but yourself. If this journey resonated with you, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe so we can keep walking this path together, gently, honestly, with curiosity. This isn't a channel about theories, it's about the quiet work of understanding what makes us human. And if something in this video touched you, share it. You never know who might need to hear that their hidden feelings aren't flaws, but messages from within. So take a breath. Feel your chest rise and fall. Beneath everything you show the world, something sacred lives, a silent truth that has waited patiently for you to listen. You don't need to fight it anymore. You only need to say, I'm ready. And in that moment, the unconscious, which has been whispering all along, finally answers, welcome back.